You know what? I'm feeling really inspired right now. I stumbled upon a tweet the other day that really just kind of reminded me the entire possible spectrum, I guess, of videos, because this kind of video right here, wherein we're going over a few series of trades and talking about the outcomes and how everything finalizes at the end of the day, I think this stuff is fantastic, and you do too. For the most part, at least, it looks like you do, because the videos that we've made in the past that are like these kinds of videos, the JT Miller trade return is finalized, the Thomas Tatar trade return finalized video, these kinds of things, I mean, they're some of the most viewed videos on the channel, first and foremost. Secondly, they're the most interesting to take a look at how things have worked out with time, with hindsight, with everything set into stone. And with the Seth Jones trade a few weeks ago, comes a conclusion with everything said and done, everything set into stone as we've said, that I think is really fantastic, dude. I absolutely love what Jarmo Kekalainen has done here. Now, before anybody goes out there and starts trashing on Seth Jones and all that, I'll say this, we've done that entire conversation already. We've spoken a ton about how the analytics guys on Twitter, social media, Instagram, and all that, talking about how Seth Jones isn't really all that good of a player on paper. But then again, he's a big body, he gets points and all that, and a lot of people see value in those kinds of things. So I'm not going to judge on Seth Jones in this video, I'm just going to take a look at the return and how everything has worked out, because, man, reviewing that trade just a few weeks down the line, I really think the Blue Jackets are a much better team, prospect-wise and team-wise today, than they were when they only had Seth Jones. So, let's go over the trade over here. It was made on July 23rd, 2021. The Columbus Blue Jackets traded away Seth Jones, a first-round pick, 32nd overall, the Tampa Bay Lightning first that was acquired in the David Savard three-way trade, as well as a 2022 sixth-round pick, which is yet to be used because it's not 2022 yet. I don't know if you've heard about that, actually. But they traded away these things for Adam Boqvist, a first-round pick, which was 12th overall, Chicago's own first, a 2021 second-round pick, as well as a conditional first-round pick from the Blackhawks in 2022. Should Chicago win one of the two draft lotteries in 2022, then the pick becomes a 2023 first instead, because, of course, the Blackhawks are acquiring Seth Jones, they're trading away all this stuff, and they still feel the need to put assurance as to whether or not they could win the draft lottery, because they just don't know if they're gonna be that good to not be one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah, it's kind of dumb, eh? But you know what it is. It's a conditional first. That isn't really set in stone or whatever. What did the Blue Jackets do with these assets that they acquired? Adam Boqvist, the first, the second, and the conditional first? Well, conditional first, let's talk about that in a year. But the second-round pick that the Blue Jackets acquired, 44th overall, was actually not used by Columbus, because what they did was they traded that 44th overall pick to the Carolina Hurricanes for the signing rights to a guy named Jake Bean. Now, Bean was a former 13th overall pick in 2016, a left-handed D-man, 6'1", 185. He's 23 years old, and he was signed to a contract by the Blue Jackets worth $2.333 million a season until 2024. He played in the NHL last year, getting 12 points in 42 games with the Hurricanes and 1 goal in 11 games in the postseason. It's taken him a while to eventually come in and actually crack an NHL lineup full-time, but I always remember Jake Bean and what he was able to do with the Calgary Hitmen. He was a fantastic defenseman back in those days in the WHL. However, he spent the majority of his time developing after the WHL with the Charlotte Checkers system in the AHL, where he was a really good offensive producer on the back end. He had 48 points in 59 games played in his last season with Charlotte, and 10 goals, 38 assists. Fantastic right there, you know? This is the kind of guy that when he breaks into the NHL and gets himself a full-time top 4 role, there's no saying what the ceiling is for this guy. I think he could be a consistent 30-point guy on the back end if everything goes right and he translates properly, which he's had a lot of time to go out there and marinate before actually having the chance to do so. So, you know what? If he's going to go out there in Columbus, a team that's young, a team that really is trying to build for the future, and get that opportunity here, making 2.3 AAV till 2024, hey, be my guest. This is an NHL-caliber defenseman whose signing rights you acquired for a second-round pick. That's not all, though, because the Columbus Blue Jackets also traded up pretty much in the draft. As we said, they had the 32nd overall pick from Tampa Bay in the David Savard trade. They traded that away in this Seth Jones trade, and they acquired a much higher pick in the draft. Oh boy, it's 12th overall, Cole Sillinger. Now, it's technically 11th overall because the Arizona Coyotes didn't pick at 11, but either way, let's say 12th overall. Cole Sillinger is a guy whom, if you've seen the scouting report we have made about him, I'm absolutely in love with. He is a really good, offensively capable producer. His shot is arguably the best in the draft. He just knows how to whip it from everywhere on the ice, and his ability to rip it is just unmatched. There's nobody in this draft, in my opinion, whose pure just sniping ability is as good as Cole Sillinger's. You might recognize the last name too, Blue Jackets fans, because Mike Sillinger, Cole's father, was a former Blue Jacket. It's why Cole was actually born in Columbus, and it's why he has dual citizenship to the United States, which is why he played in the USHL this season instead of the WHL. He actually had himself a really good playmaking spark in the dub as well before he ended up going to the USHL. It's actually kind of funny how things sort of dropped off playmaking-wise going from one league to another. We actually highlighted all this stuff in the Why I Want video we made about Cole Sillinger, but either or, another one of these really good pickups in the NHL draft for the Blue Jackets. You got Kent Johnson at 5th overall, or whatever the heck it was, and then you get Sillinger at 12th. Oh man, if Kent Johnson really goes out there and develops in the way that we think that he could, playing him with Cole Sillinger could be fantastic on your power play. This could be a really good dynamic duo behind Patrik Laine. And if Sillinger really works out, this could be a consistent 20, 25 goal guy, like a James Neal-esque kind of player where he doesn't not score 20 goals in the year because he's just that good at scoring the puck. And of course, finally, when you take a look at the last asset involved in the Blue Jackets Seth Jones trade, it's Adam Boqvist. And we said this in the video initially, the video that we made a few weeks ago before we even had the Seth Jones trade actually made, when the rumors were coming out, that Adam Boqvist, if you're looking at just purely points, he produced at the same point per game rate that Seth Jones did last year. And I know Seth Jones was playing on the worst team in the division in the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I know that that is important to take a look at, but just individually, the points tell a different story. Seth Jones had 28 points in 56 games played. That is legitimately half a point a game. It's flat out half. Meanwhile, Adam Boqvist, he had 16 points in 35 games played. Roughly the same. Okay, he's not there, but almost there. Pretty close. It's negligible right here, the difference. And with Boqvist, the fact that he just made the league last year after being such a dominant prospect in the Swedish ranks and eventually the OHL, there's a lot more untapped potential here with Adam Boqvist, a smooth, pivoting, lethal shooting defenseman who's got some really good offensive abilities. I was always such a big fan of Boqvist. This is why he's the very first Why I Want video we ever made. He was supposed to be neck and neck with Quinn Hughes back in the 2018 draft, and they were supposed to be kind of, the defenseman rivalry we were going to get out of that draft. Sure, Dahlin was there, and he was at the top, but Dahlin was Dahlin in a class of his own. We had ourselves in 2017, for example, Heiskanen and Makar. Everybody was going out there comparing, Heiskanen or Makar, who would you rather have? But in 2018, it was kind of like Hughes versus Boqvist. That's kind of the vibe that you were getting out of these prospects because they were just so neck and neck. Quinn Hughes is fantastic right now. Boqvist, I think he's got that in him in the future. So when you take a look at this at face value, the Blue Jackets gave up Seth Jones, and in that trade, they traded up with their first-round pick. So pretty much they traded away Jones, they acquired Sillinger, they acquired Boqvist, and they acquired Jake Bean because the second-round pick they got was sent over to Carolina for the signing rights for him. Fantastic trade. I'll give a big shout out over here to Byron Bader. He's the guy who actually tweeted this out, which is why I'm even talking about this. The Blue Jackets turned Seth Jones into Boqvist, Bean, and Sillinger. Incredible. That probably beats out what the Sabres are going to get for Jack Eichel. And you know what? It feels really bad. It does. That feels really bad to acknowledge, but it doesn't really feel wrong, Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this package was indeed more than what the Eichel trade return package is ultimately going to be. But either way, though, talk to me in the comments what you think. I do think that this kind of video where we take a look at the trades and the drafts and all that stuff, taking a look at where the picks end up and how exactly things go down, this is a really interesting style of video, and I want to try to explore this a little bit more because I've been looking through Cap Friendly the past like 30 minutes here, just trying to mark down trades that I think are interesting enough to talk about, and boy, there are a ton of interesting hypothetical situations to go over here over the next few weeks. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Seth Jones and the trade return and all this stuff. I hope you enjoyed this Visage Rolls 99. And bye.